Welcome back to Freedom from Body Memory Insights Edition. This is episode 5, and my name's Jonathan Tripodi. I'm the founder of the Body Memory Recall Approach, a form of transformational bodywork that helps people access suppressed memory and enter the self-healing flow state called unwinding. In the first episode, we described what body memory is, that its actual consistency is of energy stored in the body. So suppressed sensations, emotions, thoughts aren't just confined to the brain or nervous system, but they actually exist in the cells and tissues and fluids of the whole body. And so when people develop body memory, they basically experience tension and then stress. And when body memory is suppressed over time, the body gets hard, specifically the fluid inside fascia, the connective tissue system of your body. Fascia, the fibers are hollow and have fluid inside them. And this tension in the muscular system over a long period of time causes that fluid to harden. So there's this phenomenon called body armor, and the body armor is a product of suppression. So when we suppress memory and we hold that memory in suppressed states for long periods of time, you experience chronic muscle tension, hardening of the fluids within the fascia, and then fascial restriction. Literally the fibers of fascia begin to bond together, and ideally, normally, they glide. So there's this range of motion in our body that is allowed and permitted because the fascia has this glide ability and elasticity to it. When we remain in fixed states of suppression, our body gets fixed. The fascial fibers literally bond together. So that combination of muscle tension, fascial restriction, hardening of the fluids is called body armor. So anywhere in your body where you have tension and hardness paired with discomfort or pain, and it's that way on a regular basis for years, most likely you are experiencing the symptoms of suppressed memory from a past experience that was painful, overwhelming. Your body automatically internalized that experience, suppressed it, and it gets stored, and different parts of the body respond to different types of memory. And that's what we're going to discuss in a later episode. What we've been talking about is the need to enter the self-healing flow state of unwinding, and how this flow state is a release of the stored energy in our body that we suppressed. Why do that? Because that's what's going to bring the body back to homeostasis. That's when the organs and tissues and joints and fluids and nerves and blood vessels of the body can start functioning in their ideal, healthy, vital, and appropriate way. All this tension and hardness and restriction from suppression begins to act on all our other structures of our body, like our nerves, blood vessels, organs, joints, muscles, and it causes them to become symptomatic. All kinds of symptoms: chronic pain, chronic stress, fatigue, digestive, elimination problems, absorption issues, breathing issues, swelling, numbness and tingling, headaches, TMJ, visual and ocular or auditory disturbances. Every cell in the body is encased in fluid and connective tissue. And muscle is also encased in connective tissue. So when muscle contracts, it's symbolically like taking your hand on a sheet, okay, like a bed sheet, and squeezing it. And watch how the threads of the bed that extend in all different directions, it creates a tension that pulls those threads, puts wrinkles in the whole sheet, no matter where you squeeze it. Your fascial system is like the threads of a sheet. It's all interwoven, all interconnected. And when you contract in any part of that fascial system, you create tension in the whole system. And therefore, when we store body memory, the energy of an overwhelming or painful experience, when we store it in our gut, just put your hand on your tummy right now and on the shirt that you're wearing and just squeeze it and feel the tension pull through the shirt. That tension can lead to your hips, to your shoulders, to your spine, to your organs, and cause symptoms. One body memory can do that. What do you get when you live 30, 40, 50, 60 years and have accumulated a lot of body memory, layers? Then you start to get this collective tension in your body that is the summation of a lifetime of various memories, physical and emotional, some surgical, that have contributed to this tension in your body, not just your muscles, but your fascia. And then that fascial tension distributes tension to every cell of your body. This is the epidemic where we're all in this experience because our modern medical system doesn't consider fascia a problem or something worthy of evaluating. They don't necessarily recognize that fascial tension might be at the source of all these other symptoms that people go to doctors for or therapists for. So this is why we're talking. This is why we're here, why I'm sharing this information with you. So at the very least, you get informed, and as an informed human being, you can make informed decisions and possibly can recognize that you have options when it comes to feeling better. And what I would like to include in your tool bag is those tools that treat your connective tissue system, your fascial system, that help it to become unrestricted and fluid again, to take this collective tension out of your body. And more importantly, tools that help you to release the body memory that originally was suppressed and caused the fascial tension and the muscular tension and the hardness in the fluids that then created all these other symptoms in your body. Let's get to the source. So in our last edition, we talked about unwinding and how our bodies, human beings, are innately wired to release tensions, to release pain, to release and feel emotions. We are, if you begin to really look at it this way, okay, because there's different perspectives on how to look at a human body. But when you study the body, like I have, I've been a physical therapist, so I studied the body as something that was purely physical. Bones, muscles, joints, fluids, cartilage, And we treated it that way. That's like That's like a car getting into a car accident and treating the car without recognizing the driver in the car. Have you ever seen a dead body? It has everything's there. The same cells, the same bones, the same organs, same everything, except there's nobody driving the car. It lays there. That's a dead body when there's no person, there's no driver in the body. Body memory has everything to do with the fact that there is a human being in the body. That human being got overwhelmed, got afraid, and this body is equipped with protective responses to help that person in the body to cope and survive from those types of experiences. And one of those coping mechanisms is suppression. So body memory has to do with the experience of a person, an experience that they had on a physical, emotional, even psychological level, sometimes spiritual. There are spiritual experiences that are intense and sometimes overwhelming. And these experiences are represented as various forms of energy. And the body has this capacity to suppress it, to store it. So when we talk about healing and transformation, in the context of body memory, it has to do with releasing that which was suppressed. Getting that energy that was suppressed to circulate out of the body. In the body, in a state of suppression, it's wreaking havoc on the nervous system, the muscular system, the fascial system, and therefore every cell of your body is under the duress, physical and energetic duress of these memories. Think about some of the most painful experiences of your life, just for a moment. You don't have to really feel it, just appreciate that you've had them, and just consider those just like a bulleted kind of list. And then imagine what your body must feel like to have those experiences stored within it and carrying them around every day. How do you think your nervous system would respond to that? Would it be relaxed? How do you think your muscles would respond if your nervous system is stressed about these experiences being stored inside its body? What do you think the muscles, because the muscles get communication from the nervous system. So your muscles are actually reflecting the state of your mind and your nerves. And then if your muscles are reactive to your nervous system, getting all under contraction, and those muscle cells are within a full body, whole body fabric called connective tissue or fascia. How do you think the fascial system responds to this collective contraction of muscles? It gets tight. It gets pulled tight. And that tension on the fascial system causes it to thicken and the fibers to bond and the fluid to harden. And so this is the situation. It's a very human experience to store body memory, and it's very human to undergo the suffering that results from suppression. The good news is it's also very human to be transformed of all that. Specifically, for us to let go and be a channel and transmit and release these energies from our past that were painful, and for our nervous system to then authentically relax as a result of that release. When the storm of pain from our past is out of our body, there's a calm after that storm. The nervous system relaxes. And when the nervous system relaxes, guess what? Your muscles relax. Your organs relax. Muscles and organs receive input from your nervous system. There's nothing wrong, most likely, with your muscles or your organs. What's, quote, wrong, if there's something wrong, is that they're receiving neurological input, stressful neurological input from your nervous system. And your nervous system's reacting because you've taken a threat, not that you've done it intentionally. Your body has internalized a threat. That's like having somebody who broke into your house. Okay, you catch them in the bathroom stealing something, and you close the door and lock it. And he's knocking on the door. Bam, 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 bam. Let me out, let me out, let me out. And all day long, you continue to live in this house with this thief banging on your bathroom door. It's not relaxing. Your body the intelligence of your body is not designed to be at ease with threat being stored in the body. In fact, your body is wired the opposite. It says, let's get back to homeostasis. Let's get back to peace and harmony and balance. And whatever is obstructing that, let's release it. Your body right now is designed to release itself of everything that ever happened to it. Everything that you, the driver of this body or the person in it, has experienced as painful or overwhelming. It's designed to let it go. Your body is seeking to make a comeback, to get back into alignment, homeostasis, balance, harmony, to be thriving again and growing with a sense of vitality, creativity, with love and ideals directing its energy, not fear. So that's my number one insight I want to convey to you. I can share this with you with absolute conviction after 30 years of having that insight affirmed. I've learned everything I talk to you about on these insight editions comes from being exposed to it thousands of times through actual human beings, going through the process of transforming body memory, specifically transforming it by entering the self-healing flow state called unwinding. And that's what we're wanting to talk a little bit more about. In the last edition, we talked about it as a way of practicing getting back to that self-healing flow state. We practice through melting muscle tension. So feeling where your body is tight and consciously and intentionally relaxing it. We mentioned using our breath to inhale sensations of pain and emotion whenever you feel them. Exhaling them out. Inhale the pain and emotion. Exhale pain and emotion out through the breath. Movement, letting your body move with pain and emotion. Because its tendency is to get fixed, contracted. And in that fixed, contracted state, nothing moves. The energy doesn't move. Your body doesn't move. your breath doesn't move, you get shallow breathing. And when none of that's moving, your circulation is impaired. You get into a fixed state of not moving. So we call that a frozen state in the body memory world. This response to pain, whether it's physical or emotional, is referred to as a freeze response. And when we get frozen, the body is basically in a state of surviving rather than a state of healing. So the body has a hierarchy of importance. It functions from survive first, then heal. You don't see soldiers on a battlefield, meditating or crying or, letting themselves have a release when there's bombs and bullets and, gun, all kinds of things going on around them that are threatening. Survive first. But then when the environment changes and it's safe and you don't need to survive anymore, then you can choose to enter the healing state. And the healing state has to do with movement, breath, sound, and emotion. It's the expression of what you feel and experience rather than the suppression. And so we talked about how to approach that in the last episode, like a practice, because we're out of practice. As young children, we did this naturally. Nobody had to tell us. We were moving, breathing, sounding, crying, laughing fluidly all the time. And then we learned not to. And then once we learned, it became a habit. We started relying on our ability to suppress as a way to navigate our overwhelm. And then we started accumulating body memory on a weekly basis, maybe monthly basis. Some body memories are benign, they're just little things. But others are pretty traumatic, pretty profound. And so over a lifetime, we end up with this accumulation. So we not only have this accumulation of body memory, but we have this habit to freeze instead of flow. And that's what we're having to relearn how to do, is how to flow again. And not only learn how to access that ability, because it's there, but how to trust it. See, a child never had to trust it because they didn't know any different. But humans, adults, they have learned that being open, being vulnerable, flowing with your thoughts and feelings isn't safe. Somebody might disapprove. Somebody might attack me. Somebody might judge me. So there's layers of distrust around this natural self-healing process of flow and unwinding. And so we're having to reevaluate our position with this flow state, because honestly, if we can't get back to flow, what hope is there? I mean, we can always hope for modern medicine to come up with great pills and drugs to make us feel better. All we got to do is take it. Or we can rely on technology to kind of take over our body and correct all the changes that we've been unable to correct on our own. Yes, that's an option. And I think we've already pursued those options. How's it working? Yes, the Wisdom of No Escape. It's a great title of an old book. I didn't really care for the book, but the title was powerful. And what I've come to appreciate, so this is another freedom from body memory insight, is there's no escaping this process. There's only postponing it. And so education helps to approach this process that is, scary, maybe unknown and foreign to us. Education's important. Then tools, techniques to begin to explore the variability that we were born with, that we just forgot about and are now afraid of and maybe not trusting of. Cultivate that familiarity and trust. And the more you do that, the more you'll be able to re-access this resource for total transformation. What do I mean by that? Total transformation. That sounds a little bit much of a claim. What I'm talking about is total flow, where you're in a state of consciousness, where you're no longer afraid. And therefore, your body has been given the green light, total consent, to express what has been suppressed. And we talked in episode, I believe, 2 or 3, what happens when you do that. Your body shakes. It goes through temperature changes. Your breathing becomes rapid, sometimes full. There are emotions that come up, sometimes tears, sometimes laughter, sometimes anger, some fear, all the above. Sometimes those emotions are associated with memories from our past, sometimes they're not. You want to hear another awesome freedom from body memory insight? And this is the best one I have to offer. It's the best one I have to offer. And it's what motivates me with absolute heart and passion to share it with you, is because it's that awesome. I've worked with thousands of people, and I've come to appreciate the myriad of ways that people have experienced life in a traumatic sense. There's a lot of variation to trauma. And I've only been exposed, through my own, if I look at my own life, what were the ones that I experienced. But when I work with thousands of people, I'm like, really, that happened to you? Wow, that is incredible. I would never have guessed that somebody would have been exposed to that kind of trauma as a child. I didn't realize parents could behave that way. I didn't realize events could occur like that. I just never would have guessed the horrific experiences that people go through as children. And then there are the ones we go through as adults. It's rough. It breaks my heart. And what gives me, what helps my heart to heal from it being broken, so to speak, just not broken, you know what I'm saying. We're all sensitive enough to feel a bit of hurt when we see other people hurting, or who've had traumatic experiences in their life, or in chronic pain and desperately trying to change that and struggling. It wasn't until I got exposed to Unwinding that I really felt like there was truly hope. And so here's the insight. If you allow your body to move spontaneously, if you're willing to let your body twitch and shake and move into various positions on its own, if you're willing to release control of your body and then release control of your breath, just let it fluctuate however it wants to. If you're willing to let control over your voice, meaning if sounds need to come out, they just come out. If choice words are spoken, that's okay too. If silence is authentic, then that's cool too. If the voice is free of your control. And then lastly, if your emotions are also as free to be felt and expressed without your control. There's nothing you can't transform from. There's no experience from your past that you can't transform. Because all of that is energy. Your experiences are energy. And those are the pathways for energy to get out of your body. Physical, emotional, breath, and sound. Those are the four primary pathways. Does healing also involve a shift in consciousness? Do you also experience a shift in perspective, belief, understanding? Yes, absolutely. Does that happen more easily if you've released the energy of the experience first? Totally. If you don't release the energy from the past and you try to shift perspective, you experience what a lot of my clients say is a mind-body split, which is, in my head, I get it. I totally understand my past. I know what happened. I understand why. But my body seems to be operating from something different. It still hurts. It still doesn't function properly. I still have symptoms. So at some point, the wisdom of no escape is that we have to come back to our body and confront the fears that are keeping these energies stored there and wreaking havoc on our body and its functions. And so, what's the next way to do that? We talked in episode 3 about how to melt and move, breathe and sound, and the next would be to begin exploring postures, certain stretches, especially the stretches that engage the places in your body where you feel tight or tense or in pain. So the approach to these positions is very important. Number one, approach them gently, slowly. Okay, not with force, but with consciousness, awareness, gentleness. So the idea here is to access sensation and access emotion. Okay, the suppressed energy in your body, if we can get access to it, we can release it. So first is to get access to it. And I do it with body work, with my body memory recall approach. I do it with touch. I actually go and touch the places in people's bodies where they're actively in the freeze response. And then I guide them to melt and move and breathe and sound. And if emotion comes up, express those emotions as I continue to add pressure and stretch to those frozen areas. You can do that to yourself, not necessarily with your hands, but you can get into stretches, positions that access these tensions in your body where your body is in a reactive freeze response. And then, once you engage it, slowly begin to move and melt. So let me give you a demonstration. Let's say, and I give this demonstration a lot because I'm on video and I don't have the luxury of having somebody hold the camera for me while I step away from the camera so you can get my whole body. So I'm going to show you as an example using my neck. So let's say I've had a whiplash injury and I've been in chronic neck pain for 3 years and I'm all locked up. And my neck's in pain all the time, and it's very tight, it's very hard, and it's relatively painful all the time. And the position I would avoid is going backwards. My head going back would actually increase the pain. And so I keep my head forward. And so I avoid the positions where the symptoms increase. And of course, you're hearing that, you're like, well, that makes sense to me. What are we, masochists? We're not just going to, force our bodies into positions that hurt. No, again, we're not forcing. Okay, that's the key. Let's just take that out of the equation. We're going to enter into it, but with intention to release what we feel. See, most of the time we have pain, our body automatically responds by contracting, resisting. That's not healing, that's surviving. How is trapped energy in your body going to get out in a state of conflict and resistance? It's not. We can't avoid the positions because the positions are where the energy is. So we can avoid, but then the energy also just stays there. The wisdom of no escape. All right, so let's say chronic neck pain, right? From whiplash injury. So what I would do is I would take a few deep breaths and just let my body relax as deeply as it can, and for all the muscles in it to kind of relax as much as possible. And then when I'm in that relaxed, calm state, I would let my head slowly go backwards. And as soon as I encounter pain, I would stop and I breathe into the pain. And I sound it out. Just by doing that, you'll feel a release. Your body will soften. And when it softens, it can soften in any direction. It might soften off to the left, off to the right, backwards. It could soften into a rotation, either direction. So you want to think, when you think about movement, think about it in 3 dimensions. Not just one direction, but all directions, 360 degrees, like a global movement. And trust that your body will soften in the direction that you should move in. So how do you know which direction to move in? You have to feel in your body, you have to feel for where does the softening occur, in which direction. So my head goes back, I have a barrier of pain, I breathe and I sound, I'm already melting in my body instead of tensing, and suddenly I feel a softening off in this direction and I go with it. And then I hit another barrier of pain, and guess what? I just repeat the same approach. Breathe. Sound, and melt your body instead of brace. And every time you do that, you're going to get another release that leads you into a new position and into a new barrier. And at each barrier, you breathe, sound, and melt. Now, as you begin to do this, you're watching my body. I'm kind of being dramatic, but it can twitch. That's a deeper release. Okay, softening is the first level of release. And then once you start getting electrical signals shooting out from your body, that's a sign that energy is being discharged, electrical energy. So let your body twitch. If anybody's watching, they might think you're a little bit weird, so maybe do this in private. Let it twitch. And as it twitches, your body might also spontaneously move. Essentially, your body might just take over. It might start unwinding. What's taking over? There's a self-healing intelligence. We talked about this. It's in your body. Your body is designed to let go. It wants to let go. It doesn't want to hold on to this stuff. It knows how to orchestrate that release. It knows exactly the combination lock of your pain. And it's dialing 3 turns to the right, 6 turns to the left, 20 turns to the right, forward, backward. It's got it all sequenced. And it's all you need to do. You'll never be given the combination up front. You'll just have to enter into it one turn at a time. And at each turn, melt, breathe, sound. And then as you go into that, follow the positions that you get into. And at each barrier, if you shake or twitch, go with it. Let sound out, breath. And this becomes a process. Okay, every release leads to the next level of another layer of tension that leads you to a deeper release, that leads you to the next deeper layer of tension. And eventually, as you get to deeper layers, the dramatic response, it gets more dramatic. You get more energy that stimulates your body to do funky things like shake or twitch, stimulates movement. And then emotions can be sometimes the last pathway of release. It seems that all of us feel much safer with letting our body do things and release than letting ourselves feel. When we start feeling the pain of our past, it gets real. And so I'm open to that too. And if you encounter at any moment, if you're unwinding these emotions, just be with them. Insight number 5, be with your emotions. Nobody else will or can. There's a reunion that's waiting to take place inside of you, and it's the reunion between your heart and your inner child. And your inner child is desperately needing love, unconditional love, and support. It needs to know that it's okay to feel, and there's no shame around it. It's not a weakness. And when it feels that approval, that loving approval from you, it will do it. Your little girl or your little boy inside will receive that permission and say, that's what I've been waiting for. And now that it's okay and safe, I'm going to feel. Even though it's about something that happened 10 or 15 or 20 years ago or longer. And that relationship between you and your inner child can grow. And more that permission is given, the more and more your inner child feels absolutely ready to unburden itself from these pains it's been carrying around in a very dark place inside, all alone, afraid to show them or come out because of the fear of being hurt again or being disapproved of. And that includes being disapproved of by you. So we have to look at our own attitudes that we have towards ourselves and our feelings. If we're in a critical, judgmental place around them, I don't think there's much chance for those feelings to be felt, expressed, and therefore healed. So let's stop there and practice entering into positions or stretches, postures that access your pain, but in a gentle way. And as soon as you feel a little bit of discomfort or pain, stop, melt, breathe, sound, and wait for the release, the sensation of give in your body, the melting, and then follow it in whatever direction that you soften in until you have the next barrier, and then do the same thing. And you're on your way. You're pretty close. There's not a whole much more for me to add to this process of unwinding. However, show up for the next edition because I'm going to fill in a few missing pieces that I think are really important. And thanks again for joining. And as always, if there's anybody you feel could benefit from this message and these insights, this education, please share this YouTube channel and subscribe so you'll always be notified of new editions. Thanks for joining. See you soon.